Oh, we're slow starting this morning. Good morning, Sonia. Loves love. Keys to my heart. MJ Renee. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Marlene. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody today? Thanks, Mar. I miss yours. I miss your face. We need to make some time to be together here. Glittery Unicorn Mom. Good morning. There's some new people here this morning. Good morning, Lori, Marianne, Christine, Magda. Wow, great start. Good morning, beauties. Today's just going to be kind of a random, actually. I pressured myself so much yesterday to come to this conversation, to our morning jam session with a topic that I wasn't really clear on what that topic was going to be. So rather than get very specific every day, I'm going to relieve myself of that pressure today and just make this as random as it can be and take questions and speak into those there. Sunny in Halifax, like summer. Well, Sonia, today it's not here in Edmonton. It's overcast and humid and warm. The Urban Mystic official Marlene says, sat beside my narc ex for 2 hours the other day. Didn't stab him in the neck with a pen. Yay me. Okay, you guys, the Urban Mystic official, you've heard me talk about Marlene. That's her. That's one of my solid girlfriends. We have the best laughs with our sarcasm about narcissists. She's the person, and I'm the person for her, that if you ever needed to send an SOS call, the response would be, do I need to bring a shovel? And where do I need to hide the body? Like, this is just how solid we are. Marlene, I'm glad I don't have to bail you out of jail this weekend, because I love you and I need you, but I'd be right there beside you, so good job. Good morning, Carrie, Jay Schmitz. So yeah, like I was saying, yeah, it's a solid friendship. It's pretty awesome. Good morning, Alana. Good morning, Shauna. She's a solid friend, that's for sure. Penny's saying hi if you can hear her. Randomness today. I'm relieving myself of the pressure to come here with a specific topic because we always end up all over the place anyway. So yesterday when I was talking about dating, and Chris started chiming in here, I mentioned how that one guy had asked me out, one of my customers had asked me to go out on a date, and then he flew every red flag possible before we even made it to the date, just through our texting. Well, I'll be damned if he didn't come into the pub yesterday. And it was very interesting because I had no animosity toward him. I had nothing. He's a guest and a customer in the place of employment where I work, so I just made him feel comfortable. Didn't make him feel uncomfortable, but also didn't let him think that he stood a chance. So it was interesting and it was fun because I knew myself from where I'm vibing from that I could handle that situation if it showed up. And of course, the universe wanted to test me to see if I really could. And I did, and I rocked it. I didn't stab him in the neck with a pen either, Mar. So yesterday, I've been thinking about some of the things because Chris is just newly joining into our morning jam sessions here because we're doing the dissection of the book No More Mr. Nice Guy starting Monday night. And he said a few things I haven't actually talked to him about, but he said a few things about us putting ourselves out there and starting to date again and not being afraid. And I think, there's some truth to that. But it's also really important to recognize that when you're coming out of an abusive relationship, or the last one that you've had was an abusive relationship, that it's not the same as coming out of a healthy relationship where two people just grew apart and you get to start again. It's very different because you're managing a lot of healing, and sometimes you don't even know whether you've healed something or not until you've been put into a new situation with someone else. So I just wanted to address that this morning, not make light of it, because it's really not as simple as just saying, hey, I'm going to go on a date. I know that dating for me hasn't been a priority. And I think we need to get really okay with just saying, you know what, these things aren't a priority for me right now. Instead of making excuses for why we're not doing it, it's just pretty simple. It's not a priority for me. And if the day presents itself, the day will present itself where I meet someone where it becomes a priority, where all of a sudden dating them and getting to know them and who I am in contrast to them or in respect in regards to them, is going to present itself, and I'm going to be ready to explore that. It's not a priority, and we just need to make that okay. Whatever it is, not just dating, but going to the gym. Instead of beating yourself up for not going to the gym or making all the excuses of why you don't go to the gym, just accept the fact that it's not a priority. We are allowed to prioritize certain things in our lives. And that goes with people too. You know, instead of saying, I don't have time for someone, I don't have time, or let me check my schedule, and sorry, I can't go for coffee and all these things, change it and just say, you know what, I'm sorry, but this isn't, and don't even apologize, actually, correct myself. This just isn't a priority for me right now. I have other things that take priority above a night out or dating or going to the gym or spending time with people that you really don't have any interest in spending time with. There's so much power in just recognizing that these things are not a priority, because then we stop making excuses for not doing it. I don't care whether I date or not right now. It's not a priority for me. Would I entertain that thought and that experience? Should I meet someone who sparks my interest enough? Of course. Of course. I get out there enough to meet people. Trust me. I get out there enough. Yesterday I kind of made late and said, oh, well, I work from home, so I never get out. Or when I'm out, I'm working at the pub. And that's very true, but it's also just not important to me right now. Other things that are important to me, well, I promised that I was going to put together a workshop on identifying our toxic behaviors and how to move through those. So that's a priority for me because it's important to me. It's important. That gives something back to me, knowing that I'm creating and finally in a space where I can create, because that PTSD isn't, I'm not operating out of that PTSD or survival mode anymore. I'm coming from a place of thriving so I can create, and that's really freaking exciting. You know, so that's a priority. Dating, not so much. Not so much. So I think when we identify what's important to us and where things go in the list of priorities, then we can stop making excuses for what we're not doing. Desiree says, yes, that's a good goal and good productive time and achieving something you want to do, and it's helpful for all of us. You know, and I think because when we're coming out of a narcissistically abusive relationship, or when we recognize that we were never the priority, we never got to prioritize anything in our lives that had meaning for us. It always meant we're along for the ride with the narc, so we've got to do what's important to them. Every year, the narc would plant these fucking flowers, and then he'd go off to work, and I'd have to take care of a garden that I had no time for, that wasn't a priority for me, that I didn't care about. You know, and Marlene and she can attest to this. Every day I'd bitch about having to deadhead these flowers, and I mean, not just a couple of planters. I've got 3 planters outside right now, but he would plant a garden and then bugger off, and I'd have to take it on as a priority in my life that I didn't want. You know, so Marlene and I, and every morning I'd bitch and complain about these flowers that I don't want to take care of, and then try and see the positive in it. Oh yeah, but look at this beautiful garden that I have. Still didn't make me feel good because it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't a priority to me. It actually took time away from the things that were important to me. Because if I didn't take care of what the narcissist wanted me to take care of, then I'd have to suffer the consequences of that. So it's really important now, when we're no longer with them, to make sure that we're taking care of things that are important to us first and foremost. First and foremost. Because when we start taking care of what's important to us, other people benefit. If you commit to going for a drink with someone that you really don't care to spend any time with, you're wasting your time. And you're looking at your watch the whole time you're there, checking to see when it's going to be over. When you could have taken that hour or 2 hours or however long it is and gone and done something that really matters to you, that really feeds your soul. And I don't just mean like don't take chances and reconnect with people. I think that's very important. But if this is someone you want to spend some time with, if this is someone you want to carve time out for. This is Desiree again says, yes, it's like they try to distract us from what we want to do. Well, they do, because anytime that we get to step into what is important to us, then we're recognizing and remembering our own power, and we're not allowed to have that when we're with a narc. So I think this is really huge. I know I said that this was going to be random and all over the place, but apparently today's about priorities. See what happens when I don't force myself to think about what I need to come to this group with every day? We actually have a really meaningful conversation. Because I think when we put ourselves first, when we put what matters to us first and high up on that list, by the time we get down to what other people would like from us, or when people want us to come and go to their parties or whatnot, then we feel like our bucket's full. Our bucket's full and we can go. Our cup is full and you have the power. There was something I listened to in my morning walk with Penny in one of my audiobooks that said, quit looking at the glass as half full or half empty and just look at yourself as the pitcher who has the ability to fill the cup. I don't care if the glass is empty or half full. I can fill it. And when you fill it, then your glass is full and you have so much more to give other people. I think I got late to join this session. It's okay. It'll be on replay for 24 hours. And here's something else I'm doing, guys. I've got a YouTube channel where I am reposting these morning lives so that you can go back and replay them, because so many of you asked me about one that from another day, and these only last for 24 hours here on Instagram. So you can Google the Badass Broad Coaching Company on YouTube, and you'll be able to see these videos in replay. The only thing you won't see is all the comments that are in the video here. It doesn't record that. This is why I read the comments out loud when I go to answer something. So Badass Broad Coaching Company on YouTube, and you'll find these in replay. And you'll find some of the Instagram TVs too. So please click like, subscribe, share, all of that stuff. It helps build my channel, and it's also going to help get these messages out there about healing after narcissism. So yeah, see, I made that a priority. How cool. You can listen on YouTube. I've got a pretty lax day, and I've got an appointment this morning, and then I've got a meeting right after. And then I'm going to come home and I'm going to do laundry, and I'm going to work on that program of identifying our toxic behaviors. I'm going to do that because I want to get that out quickly. And then I'm just going to keep creating, and I'm going to create one that follows that, and then one that follows that, and follows that, and follows that. Because I'm feeling inspired now. You people here inspire me. And I think, and Marlene, if you're still here, you can attest to the fact that I haven't been this inspired, this on purpose, in a really long time. Like since before the narc. this on purpose, this inspired. And I've never been more solid and sound in who I am than I am right now, because I found something that matters to me, something that's a priority to me. And that's what happens when you put yourself first. Put yourself first. Oh, thanks. These are Thomas Sabo. It's my favorite store, because you can buy these little charms, but it's a very rock and roll kind of store, and I'm a rocker chick, so I love their jewelry there. I really love their jewelry there. I don't know if how long have I been away from the NARC? December 1st of 2018 was when I left, but I started mentally and emotionally leaving a year prior to that. It does feel good to be on purpose. Thanks, Mar. Yeah, so, my leaving, because I had gone back to him 5 times, so my leaving this last time happened way before I was ever gone. So I want to acknowledge that and tell you that here, because healing isn't instantaneous. It isn't instantaneous. It's an ongoing process, and you just keep showing up. Congrats on your divorce coming final next month, Shauna. Let us know when that happens. Feels good to be on purpose. Filed for divorce in December. I understand that. Yeah, we've got a pretty solid group here, and people reach out to me privately because they're still hiding, and we all understand that, what it's like to hide. And hi, Eva. To be afraid to identify ourselves for fear of the narcissist finding out. And we think that we still have to continue to live in fear. And we don't. But we all come out of our closet, the NARC closet, in due time. There's a really good question here. Hold on. How long for us to start to feel alive again? Loves Love is asking, how long for us to start feeling alive again? Has been already 6 months, and he left me, but much time before he was destroying me already, and he never filed the divorce, so now I decide to start. You know what? Feeling alive again, there's no timeline on this. There's no guidelines that say, well, when this happens, that's when you're going to start to feel alive again. I felt alive immediately after I left. I also felt exhausted and depleted and energized and angry and all of these emotions, because that's just part of the healing. I was so suffocated in that relationship that when I left, I had never been happier in my life, because I could finally breathe again. The last time I went back, 5 times I went back over the course of 6.5 years, was the absolute worst. So I literally couldn't breathe. And I was physically depleted. Thank you, Marlene, because my allergies got worse. I almost ended up in the hospital because they were so bad I couldn't breathe. The doctor sent me for lung x-rays and exams to test to see what was going on with my lungs, and there was nothing. I just physically couldn't breathe. And I was sick throughout that whole relationship, physically ill throughout that whole relationship. And then after I left, I was also physically depleted. But my energy surges were up and down all over the place. So it's just important to pay attention to yourself, to your body, and not to put any timeline on things. Yeah, I couldn't understand why I had no energy. I had none, like none. I had no inspiration while I was in that relationship. I had no inspiration, no desire. Every time I would start to create something, I'd get stunted because he would be sure that I knew how ridiculous anything I was attempting to do was. And after I left, thanks, Marlene, for remembering and being my memory for me. For me to leave, after I left, she just said that it took almost 2 months for me to feel anything. I was completely numb after I left. And extremely numb. But what I learned in that time after leaving was that I still had to make myself a priority. I told people that I'm in a place of healing right now, physically, mentally, emotionally. My adrenals were fatigued. I was managing PTSD. And I needed to be able to say no to things. So I did. I said no to things. And that was making myself a priority. If I was tired, I slept. If I was hungry, I ate. You know, these are all the things that you need to do to take care of yourself. It's entirely normal. Sweet Baby Love 09 says, how about pictures? Do we burn them? I just started the no contact, and it's relieving to me and my daughter, who he also hurt. You know what? That's entirely up to you. I have a little ceremony that I task my clients with when we're at the right time to do that, where there's a funeral for the narc, a funeral for the person that you had to be, and a funeral to release that old part of yourself. And if you want to burn a photo, you can. I task my clients with writing a letter to the person that they had to be. In order to survive that relationship, I have them take a letter or a card or text messages and print them out that the narc has sent them. And you release that. You release that. You thank the person that had to be there, that you had to be to survive that relationship. But that person's no longer going to serve you in thriving and moving forward. So you release that, burn your photos, burn your letters, whatever you want, whatever is going to make you feel good. You know, I don't think there's anything that's necessary about having to hold on to photographs of a narcissist unless you have children with them. Then I think that's important. You don't want to obliterate those memories for them. But for yourself, by all means. I want to see what Lawton said. Hold on. I left mentally years ago, but physically has been harder. Lawton, I want to talk to you. I've got this series with Chris going on first, but I'd like to be able to have you on here at some point to talk about your situation, because it's very unique. Sylvie says, my body is physically rejecting my relationship. The toxic nature of my relationship is physically making me sick in my gut, stressed, anxious. I can't sleep and I'm gaining weight and I'm shutting down. You know, I remember that. Let's acknowledge this for a second, you guys. Our bodies physically shut down when they're rejecting something emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And when we're not listening to what the soul's trying to tell us, when we're not listening to spirit, to the universe, to God, to the creator, whatever it is for you, when you're not listening, your body is going to respond. Your body is going to tell you these things so that you wake the fuck up to what's going on. Mine did it all too. My lungs, eczema, weight gain, anxiety, depression. You know, I couldn't think anymore. All of these things, my body was telling me what I needed to pay attention to, but I still didn't want to listen. Thank you, Madeline. You've got to trust yourself. I've still got stuff I'm dealing with, but I've never been healthier outside of that relationship, you know, and it's important that we make ourselves the priority here. Again, going back to being a priority, the topic of my non-topic day. You've got to make yourself a priority. You are the pitcher that fills your cup. So you've got to make sure that you're giving yourself what you need. You have to give yourself what you need. And Teresa says, the more I lost of myself, the more he grew. Yeah, they're energy vampires, you know. Good morning, Patrick. Patrick and Krieger Patrick here. I want to give him a shout out because him and his wife have been two of my coaches in the past, and I'm free to reach out to them at any time, and likewise. So they have helped me through getting through the early stages of identifying the narcissistic abuse, you know, and I told them in my sessions, I know he's a narc. I know he's a narc. But, Pat was there for me when I had a bit of a breakdown after I first left. And he's an angel, and I love you. Thank you for showing up today. So Sylvie says, yep, I'm listening and I know what to do. I just need to get out. You know what? Amen, sister. Sylvie's part of our Badass Broads Only group on Facebook. And I have that private Facebook group there for people who aren't here on Instagram. And it's closed so that we can have these conversations. And I just want to acknowledge you today because the other day she came out in our group and made a post about how she told her narc that she's done. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so overjoyed and filled with love for you because that's huge, huge. Good job. Good job. The rest will come easier. She's strong and badass, man. Holy, she's badass. I met her and her husband in Austin, Texas for our big Rock family reunion last year. Madeline says, my ex had been showing up look at all the love for her. That's beautiful. Thank you, guys. My ex had been showing up everywhere I ever lived, and I'm now 48, and he always flaunted other women. Yeah, they do that. I'm going to find you on Facebook and YouTube. Yes, Shauna, please do. Please do. Keys to my heart. You're such an inspiration. I hope to get to the place where you are someday. You know what? Hope is important. Hope is really important because I never thought in a million years that this is where I'd be today while I was with the narc. I knew that for as long as I stayed in that relationship, I'd never thrive to have the life that I wanted for myself. So now I had those belief systems prior to him. And then my thinking that this was love always pulled me back in. And then I remember sitting in my car one day thinking, I'm never going to have the life I want for as long as I stay with this guy. And that's when I started to mentally prepare myself to leave a year to a year and a half before I actually left. So it's possible. It's entirely possible. Well, God brought us together, Sylvie. I believe that to be true. Broken Piggy Banks is here. I don't know how to say that name. It is tough work. You know what? It is really, really tough work. And I think the fact that I want you guys to understand that when I tell you it's a year to a year and a half before I left, that's the work. It doesn't just happen overnight. Leaving happens long before you're even gone. You've got to mentally leave. You've got to emotionally leave, because if you're not ready to leave mentally and emotionally before you physically leave, you're going to end up going back. You're going to get hoovered back in. That's how that works. So you can't just get pissed off one day and walk out. Well, you can, but if you're not emotionally there or mentally there, you're going to return. Prepare yourself. Prepare. Preparation's key. Make yourself a priority. 9:26. We are, I like today. I like coming here with no agenda. I like to see where it goes. So today was no agenda. It was going to be randomness, and it turned into making yourself a priority. Remember, you can look at the glass as half full or half empty, but you are the pitcher that fills the glass. Look for me on YouTube. Look for me for the replays here. You can join our Badass Broads Only group. I say it's Badass Broads Only. By Latin. Take good care. Have a great day. Because I needed to create a safe space for women. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Don't know what we're going to talk about. I think that's the way to come to this group. Have a great day, beauties. Stay badass. I'm Trish of Badass Broad Coaching Company. I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. If you want to book some time with me, Pat wants to be a badass broad. We'll talk about it. And if you want to book some time with me, click the link in my bio. Look for me on YouTube. Look for me on Facebook. I love you guys. Stay badass. Go rock the day.